Hello?
Whoa. Hey.
Yo, I turned that shit off.
Hey.
What did they say? About
Huda and Louis just released statements in regards to Olandria being called a racial slur on their live stream, and I'm not gonna lie, y'all, these statements are not it. But let me go ahead and read them to y'all. Huda said, y'all, first of all, clickbait using a sensitive topic is actually insane. Me and Louis did not hear what was said in that no caller ID call on live, only the racial slur, which we hung up immediately. I don't condone anything of the sort. Whoever called purposely, continuously called while we were live. I really don't condone racism, which is why it was immediately hung up. Once again, we did not hear it very well considering it sounded like a child, only the last slur. I just want to address this before it blows out of proportion. She then goes to say also laughter was because it was awkward. Like who the heck says something offensive like that on a call on his live? And as you can hear me say, what did they say? And they said a bad word because that's all I heard was the bad word. It was awkward and inappropriate. Whoever said it was in the wrong. Also, this doesn't make sense because she clearly said, what did they say? Trying to act oblivious when she knew damn well what the person said. And now she's trying to say, I knew what was said. I just didn't know all of what was said. It's not really making sense, I'll be honest. I'm sorry. And then Louis' response was even worse in my opinion. Chase her and all that BS. I really hate the Love Island fan base. And as a black man who's experienced enough racism all my life, I don't even want to give the person who said the slur the satisfaction that they get from this. But I have to come on here and say something because it wasn't what we heard. Start off by saying don't condone no racism, but something happened on my live with a prank call and someone said something in a slur. I laughed and hung up because all I understood was a slur. But now finding out there was a name in front of it. But we didn't hear that, so we just want to say that as much as people want to call me a clout, and that's all he said. The thing that really doesn't make sense about this to me is even if you didn't know that Olandria's name was said, why would you be laughing at a racial slur being used anyway? What's funny about that? I don't find shit funny about that. He also went on Snapchat to make a response.
This is just an opportunity for the haters of my girl to fucking run with hate. Like, yo, the fact people are calling her racist and then calling me racist. Sorry, I don't know if you can fucking see, I'm black. Yeah? Not the darkest, but I've definitely been kicked in the face with it, right? And she's with me. So, make it make sense, bro. Bro, the world has gone to shit, bro. Our kids are gonna grow up in, this fucking cancel culture.
Trying to reduce it to people just being haters is also really fucking weird. Also, Louis, the fact that you are a black man and you're trying to say, oh yeah, she can't be racist because I'm black, as if fetishization doesn't exist and all other types of stuff is also just nonsensical. Not saying that's what the case is, but that response doesn't make sense. Overall, the whole thing is just bad, and I think instead of getting defensive about it, if you actually gave a fuck about the harm, that would be how you handled the situation. I think it's very telling that y'all both laughed at it and then that this was your response. As in people just wanting to be haters and just wanting to tear you down. People have a right to be offended and upset about it. And you're claiming your own damn story that you don't want to give this person a response because it's fucked up and offensive. So then why would you be upset that other people are offended and also offended that you laughed? There was no apology made in any of these statements. It was just y'all saying y'all don't really give a fuck and y'all are doubling down on it. And then now your fans are doubling down on it as well. So honestly, it is what it is. Like I said, I don't like to talk about Huda or Louis on my platform very often because this is just the energy they give to me and it's very clear as day. But I do think it's fucked up and irresponsible for anybody with a platform to behave like this. And I think that this is really sad that y'all are trying to just put this as cancel culture and not recognizing the harm. There's harm and people are upset for a good reason. Stop trying to minimize the shit. And then because you're black and you're dating a non-black woman, you're going to sit over here and act like this isn't a real thing. What?
It's October and I'm still struggling to find anyone who avoids accountability like Huda Mustafa. I'm sorry, Olandria. That's 3 words, darling. That's 3 words. Okay, sweetheart? For you to sit there and laugh at this woman being called a slur and then say you didn't hear it, say goodbye to Gymshark, say goodbye to Call of Duty. You probably won't have to worry about Huda Beauty. And say goodbye to that boyfriend of yours because he's only in it for the money.
What's funny? Is it because they said Olandria's name or was it the racial slur? Are you guys really gonna excuse what just happened? Cause where's the joke?
Could have heard every word that person said and laughed because it was about Olandria. So for her to get online and say she didn't hear Olandria's name, she only heard the slur. What was funny about the slur? Then to make matters worse, the person next to her is laughing, which is diabolical in itself considering that same slur could be used against him. But back to Huda, I'm tired of her whenever she's caught in something looking dazed and confused, she's frazzled, she doesn't know. You do know. There's always an excuse. I didn't see see, I couldn't hear, I was listening partially. Like, when do you know? And I don't want anybody in these comments coming up with excuses. That girl complained that she was bullied for 2 months, but was quick to laugh at somebody using a derogatory term. I don't have time for it. And Luis might want to go on Ancestry.com if he doesn't know where he came from. And that lady Steph with the deets is already on here defending her with wrong information as usual. Can you just delete your account?
Do not mind the way I look right now. I just got off work. But are you guys finally ready to have the conversation about Huda? Because what the fuck was that? What the fuck was that? I heard them laughing right after it's, and then, oh, I didn't know. I only heard the bad word. Do you really expect me to fucking believe that? Do you think we're dumb? We saw how you acted about black women all summer long. Yeah, Toast knows too. He wasn't even born yet and he knows. The racism that you are so comfortable sitting in because that you know in that moment you're being picked makes me fucking sick to my stomach.
Just when everyone thought Love Island Season 7 was finally over, the cast found a way to blow up the internet all over again. The villas are closed, the lights are off, and yet, here we are, watching chaos unfold in real time. For months, fans assumed the crew had moved on. Brand deals were slowing down, podcasts were drying up, and the Season 7 drama had officially run its course. But out of nowhere, one live stream changed everything. Because when Huda went live with her boyfriend Lewis Russell, it didn't just spark a little gossip. It reignited an entire season's worth of tension, pulling Olandria, Shelley, and nearly every former Islander back into a storm they thought they'd escaped. It started like any normal night on Live. Laughing, chatting, casual fan calls, but 1 second of bad audio, one awful word from a random caller, and the entire fan base turned upside down. And from that point on, every apology, every screenshot, and every reaction became its own episode of chaos. This is the story of how one live stream turned the calm after Season 7 into pure meltdown, and how Huda found herself at the center of it all. Before we get into the live stream, you have to understand how it started. Because for Huda and Lewis, the drama didn't begin on camera. It began with the people watching them. After the show, Huda began dating Louis Russell, a familiar face from Perfect Match, and a close friend of Miguel from Love Island Season 6. At first, fans were obsessed. Huda seemed happy. Lewis seemed charming. They were the new crossover couple everyone wanted to ship. But inside the Love Island circle, not everyone was buying it. Miguel and Leah, once close with Louis, suddenly stopped hanging out with him. And social media started whispering, was Louis clout chasing? People noticed a pattern, Lewis appearing in more lives, tagging Huda in every post, hinting at brand collabs. Soon, fans started calling him the new Clout King. He brushed it off, but the tension was obvious. Still, the couple doubled down. Louis went all out for a girlfriend proposal. Balloons, candles, photographers, the kind of setup that could pass for a wedding. And the internet ate it up. Couples from the same season started doing the same thing. Ace and Shelley, Taylor and Clark, all turning the "Will you be my girlfriend" moment into full-scale productions. It felt like a friendly competition at first, but behind the filters and captions, people were watching closely. Because when everyone's relationship starts looking like a marketing campaign, the line between love and clout gets blurry fast. Still, for Huda and Luis, things looked perfect until the live stream that changed everything. And that's where the real story begins. Because what happened next didn't just test their relationship, it split an entire fandom in half.
If I, as a black person, was with my non-black partner and we took a call together, and on that call, the only thing we heard was the N-word, I would be livid, I would be offended, I would be hurt, because I would assume as a black person that that slur was being used and aimed at me. So for Huda and Louis to say they didn't hear what was said before the slur, they only heard the slur, that doesn't make sense. Especially considering one of them identifies as black. That doesn't make sense. So you're trying to tell me that you would laugh at somebody calling you the N-word as a black person? That doesn't make sense. They heard the name and they heard the N-word. You're not gonna convince me of otherwise. That was a bullshit statement. I don't know who came up with that shit.
It started like any other night on TikTok Live. Huda and Lewis were in good spirits, laughing, answering fan questions, doing what every Islander does when the algorithm starts to cool off, keep the audience entertained. But then came that call. They were letting fans dial in through no caller ID requests, something that's become a trend lately. People prank, people joke, it's all part of the live culture, only this time it went way too far. A voice came through, sounded young, almost like a kid, and said something that made the entire chat freeze. A racial slur aimed directly at Olandria. The kind of word that doesn't just hurt, it shocks the air right out of the room. Huda blinked, caught off guard. Louis laughed nervously, clearly confused. And for a split second, nobody moved. Then you hear it, Huda asking, "Wait, what did they say?" Louis says quietly, "They said a bad word," and then they both laugh again. It was awkward, uncomfortable, and fast. Maybe a few seconds total, but it was enough. Clips started spreading instantly. Someone screen recorded it and uploaded it with the caption, "Huda and Louis laugh after someone uses a slur toward Olandria." Within an hour, the video was everywhere. People slowed it down, analyzed facial reactions, and debated whether the laugh was nervous, dismissive, or mocking. It didn't matter what the intention was. The damage was done. Twitter or X threads popped up calling Huda tone deaf. Reddit threads blew up overnight. Some said, "You can tell she didn't even realize what was said." Others argued, "Doesn't matter. She laughed. Period." By morning, it wasn't just a clip, it was a controversy. Huda and Louis both posted to their stories trying to explain what happened. Huda said, "We didn't even hear what was said at first. We thought it was a prank call. Once we realized, we hung up. I don't condone racism at all." She explained that the laughter came from shock and awkwardness, not approval, that it was a knee-jerk, uncomfortable reaction. Louis echoed her story, saying, "We didn't catch the full sentence. I only heard the slur and I immediately hung up. As a black man, I don't tolerate that at all. But the internet wasn't ready to forgive. Because when you build your career online, perception is reality." And even if that laugh was nervous, it looked bad. Fans started digging. Old clips resurfaced. People began dissecting their relationship, their content, even their tone in old lives. Suddenly, it wasn't just about the slur, it was about character. And that's when the rest of the Love Island crew stepped in. Because once the word racism entered the chat, silence wasn't an option. Everyone had something to say. And the island that was once full of love turned into a battlefield of statements, apologies, and call-outs. But that wasn't the whole story. Because when Olandria herself spoke up, the tone of the entire conversation changed. By the next morning, the situation had completely spiraled. What started as one awkward moment on live had turned into a full-blown cultural debate. Was it just nervous laughter or something deeper? And that's when Olandria stepped in. Her post dropped early in the morning. No fancy background, no filter, just a clean black screen with text. And it hit hard. She wrote, "I do not condone racism of any kind, not in anger, not as a joke, not ever." Words like that carry generations of pain. Pretending otherwise only keeps the cycle going. That single paragraph set the internet on fire. Because it wasn't a subtweet, it was clear who and what she was referring to. She went on to say, "Defending it, laughing about it, or making excuses is even worse. I will not let this moment derail my purpose of uplifting my community." And then, the part that made people pause, "While I anticipate surface-level apologies that fade in a few days, I want this moment to become something actionable." Olandria didn't just post outrage. She turned it into action. She shared donation links to organizations like the NAACP, UNCCF-AACP, and the Thurgood Marshall College Fund, encouraging followers to put money where their morals are. Fans praised her instantly. Words like grace, powerful, and mature flooded her comments. People said, "This is how you respond with class." But her post also had a ripple effect, because now every other islander had to choose, stay silent or speak up. And one by one, they started posting. Hannah was first. "Racism of any kind is completely unacceptable. It's heartbreaking to see it happen to someone I care about." Then came Iris. "I would like to take this moment to say, I do not condone racism whatsoever. This is not something I take lightly." Amaya followed, saying she'd reached out privately but wanted to make her stance clear. "It's not okay and will never be okay. Be kind to all." Even Nick, Olandria's close friend, joined in, posting links to anti-racism foundations and writing, "Accountability and awareness are needed. I'm proud of the woman Olandria is." Then, Jeremiah added a subtle but powerful note. Someone commented, "Send Olandria some love. I just know she needs it." And Jeremiah replied, "Texted her and Nick the second I saw it." It was short, but fans caught it. That one line, "the second I saw it," showed exactly where he stood. Within hours, the Love Island fanbase turned into a war zone. Some people defended Huda, saying the reaction was a mistake, not malice. Others demanded she be dropped from brand deals and campaigns. One TikTok user summed it up best: "You can't claim ignorance when the world is watching." You're not just a person on live, you're a public figure. You set the tone. The pressure was growing and the silence from Huda and Louis was deafening. Fans were refreshing her Instagram, waiting for a real apology. But before she could respond again, someone else made the situation 10 times louder. Because when Shelly spoke up, she didn't hold back, and her words hit Huda harder than anyone else's. When Shelly finally broke her silence, everyone stopped scrolling. Because this wasn't a generic "I don't condone racism" post. It was direct, personal, and it sounded like a woman who'd had enough. Her story read like an open letter. Seeing what happened with a former Love Island castmate and her partner laughing during a prank call that included a racist remark toward Olandria was disappointing to say the least. Racism isn't a prank. It's not entertainment, and it's definitely not something to laugh at. Then she dropped the line that would echo across the fandom, "There's nothing awkward about racism." Those 5 words became a slogan overnight. Fans turned them into tweets, edits, and reaction videos. And the message was clear. Shelly wasn't just addressing the moment, she was addressing the pattern. She talked about how normalizing ignorance in influencer spaces has real consequences. She said, "It shows how easily disrespect becomes casual when people choose silence or humor over accountability." People called it the mic drop moment of the week. Because Shelly wasn't only defending Olandria, she was confronting an entire culture of brushing off uncomfortable moments. And when a castmate calls you out like that, publicly, there's no hiding. So the question was no longer what happened. It was, how is Huda going to respond? The comments under Shelly's post were filled with fans demanding answers. Even people who liked Huda admitted silence would look like guilt. So that night, Huda came back online. And this time, it wasn't a defensive post. It was something different. When Huda finally posted her apology, it felt like she'd taken a breath, a real one. Gone were the short explanations and awkward phrasing from the night before. This time, she sounded reflective, measured, a little shaken. Her post began, "I've taken the majority of the day to reflect and collect my thoughts to make sure this doesn't come off as disingenuous." She admitted the first statement was rushed and incomplete. Then, she addressed Olandria directly. "It is now clear this comment was targeted at you, and I apologize for my immediate reaction." She explained that her laugh came from being caught off guard, not from amusement, calling it a nervous, uncomfortable reaction. She said she recognized that even if she didn't intend harm, her response was still inappropriate. For the first time since the live stream, Huda didn't sound like she was defending herself. She sounded like someone trying to understand how she looked through other people's eyes. She closed her statement by announcing she'd be donating to the NAACP and encouraged others to contribute too. "I want to be clear that I do not condone or tolerate anyone who uses that language. I strongly encourage reflection, accountability, and empathy." It was thoughtful, emotional, and for some, enough. But others weren't ready to forgive. Because while Huda's apology was landing, Louis was opening his phone and posting his own, and his sounded very different. Louis started his story with a disclaimer. "As a black man, I've dealt with racism all my life. I would never tolerate that word or that behavior." He explained the same thing Huda did, that they didn't hear the full sentence, that the moment was chaotic. But then his tone shifted. He started talking about the fan base. "As much as people want to call me a clout chaser and all that BS, I really hate the Love Island fan base sometimes. It's like people just wait for a mistake to attack." And while that might have been how he felt, it came across as frustrated, even combative. People expected a calm apology. Instead, they got what sounded like a rant. Then he doubled down. "Whoever said that word doesn't deserve the attention they're getting. That's the real issue. I'm not giving them satisfaction." The video spread fast, and once again, the internet split. Some fans defended him, saying he was being real and emotional. Others said he was missing the point. One viral comment summed it up. "Nobody's blaming him for being hurt. They're blaming him for turning accountability into attitude." Louis later posted again on Snapchat, visibly upset, saying, "People calling my girl racist and then calling me racist. Bro, I'm black. This world is insane." He said their reaction came from shock, not disrespect, and that people were twisting the situation to fuel hate toward Huda. But by then, the conversation had moved beyond them, because while the couple was still explaining, Olandria had already set a completely different tone, one that would define how people remembered this whole moment. Olandria didn't post again for attention. She didn't do interviews. She didn't argue. Instead, she turned her moment of pain into purpose. In the days after the live stream, she continued to share links to education programs, anti-racism organizations, and mental health resources for Black youth. She didn't post drama, she posted direction. Fans noticed how she never mentioned Huda or Lewis by name again. She'd said what she needed to say, and that was enough. Her story remained pinned for days. Every share, every repost carried the same energy. This is how you handle hate, with grace. Even people who weren't part of the Love Island fandom found the story. Major fan pages reposted her message. Podcasters quoted her, and one popular comment under her post said it perfectly. Olandria didn't drag anyone. She educated everyone. It was the kind of maturity that made her stand out, not just as a reality star, but as a person who understood her influence. And while the internet was busy debating intentions and apologies, she quietly shifted the conversation toward awareness. But even after her calm response, the drama refused to fade. Because what happened next wasn't about words, it was about reputation. Within a week, the situation had transformed from a single livestream mistake into a full case study on influencer accountability. TikTok commentary pages were calling it the messiest fallout since season 5. Clips were still circulating, and every creator who'd ever appeared on the show was being asked to pick a side. Some people unfollowed Huda quietly. Others refollowed Olandria in solidarity. The online pattern said more than the statements ever could. And while the noise eventually started to die down, the damage to Huda's image lingered. Brands paused collaborations. Her live views dropped. The comments under her posts were flooded with questions she couldn't answer without reopening wounds. But the bigger question the fandom started asking wasn't who was right. It was, why does this keep happening? Because every season, it's the same cycle. Fame, clout, scandal, apology, repeat. People chase influence, but forget influence comes with eyes, microphones, and expectations. And when you're being watched by millions, 1 second of laughter can undo months of image building. Fans began pointing out a pattern, how every grand girlfriend proposal, every perfect couple moment started to feel performative. It wasn't about love anymore, it was about staying relevant. And when reality becomes content, empathy gets replaced by entertainment. But buried under all the chaos, one thing became clear. The island may end when the cameras stop, but the fame game never does. Every live, every post, every reaction becomes a test, not of popularity, but of character. And for this cast, that test never really ends. In the end, what happened on that live stream was more than a mistake. It was a mirror, showing just how fragile online influence really is. A single word from a stranger exposed cracks in a community built on appearances. And while Huda and Louis tried to clean it up, the truth is simple. When you live your life in front of a camera, you don't get to control how people see you, only how you respond. Olandria responded with grace. Shelley responded with strength. And Huda, for all her flaws, responded with reflection. But as the drama fades, one question lingers in every fan's mind. If a single live stream can tear the villa apart this easily, was the love ever real, or was it all just for show? Because on Love Island, the season might end, but the story never does.